That's fine. So I just started doing a video, but then I got interrupted. We're going to talk about the Lilith energy. Lilith represents freedom. Okay, this might be a separate, it's going to be a separate video. But Lilith represents freedom. And what I was saying prior to was that um, in religious forums, people demonize Lilith, or they just make her feel as if it's just a sacral thing, or it's sexual disobedience, or I don't really know. Okay, to be honest, I'm not really sure, but I understand the concept, right? It's those that don't want you to enjoy the pleasures of this world. Okay, but she represents freedom, she represents wisdom, and she is against enslavement. Be mindful of when people are trying to demonize anything in your life. This is when you have to realize that they're operating on the shallow spectrum of fear. Okay, love yourself enough to dive deeper, to gain understanding, because we don't know that. We know the truth. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, there is something I want to talk about. Yes, the women who are seeking, I guess, sexual liberation, which again comes internally. Okay, this is something, it's a divine path, it's a divine initiation. Okay, um you may meet other women who would use a fragmented version of this energy, right? Because they too are under the spell of just seeing her as a sexual being, because that is what was put out there. Okay. And they will use that same energy in order to enslave others, to entrap their energy, to just get basic sustenance. Okay. Roof over the head, shelter. Be mindful of this, right? Those who haven't really balance out their sacral chakra, they tend to move into the entity of lust. Okay, and then they just slap Lilith's name on it. Be mindful of this. Be mindful of it. Okay? We as a people have gone through a lot of attempts of enslavement. A lot. Okay? So where we're seeking the balance may lead you back into a form of enslavement. This is internal work. You have to start really loving yourself. Okay? And the best form of love is through preservation. Take care of what God has already given you, and then you are able to be added on to. Okay? That's like the one key thing to unlock all of this stuff. Okay? Don't externalize it. These are energies that we are able to commune with, embody, right? But we have to embody them in truth. Okay? Not deception. Okay, this is when you see a lot of women who may have had some kind of sexual suppression. Once they start tapping into that Lilith energy, they feel this kind of vibe, right? In which they can feel the power of their femininity. All right. Now, where they go left from the path, or where they become fraudulent, is when they try to use that energy to enslave someone else, whether it be men, right? Using their sexual energy to enslave them to get things that they want, right? Whether it be what they consider to be luxurious, nails, hair, whatever the hell, right? That goes against the prime principle of that energy, the seed that was planted for that energy to exist, right? She doesn't require worshiping, right? This is human, man-made bullshit. Okay, these are higher level entities that we tap into. Okay, she's all about freedom. Once you start worshiping something, they become enslaved to you, because that is the key. What you do unto others, you do unto yourself. All right. And some people want to be slaves so bad. All right. But as soon as you start going down that kind of mind, the entity gives you crumbs, because you don't have the capacity to actually embody it fully. All right. So if you're a woman and you start tapping into this Lilith energy, you start, what we call in the Caribbean, you start smelling yourself, right? Meaning you're gaining awareness of yourself, and then you're trying to play it out to enslave a man, enslave other women who don't know themselves yet. You're abusing the power, and that's when that's when you lose. Okay? The more that you take care of yourself and the more that you speak truth is the more that these energies come and they actually are embodied in you. You start moving different in this realm. Okay? That it's about your divine story. All right? Not enslaving or entrapping anyone else. All right? So when you see these people who start seeing themselves and they come on here and they're trying to use it as a product, be mindful of it. Okay? You know this concept of phishing, right? Spamming, right? They're looking for resonance. Who is on my resonance? Lilith is not a lustful energy. She's very whole. She's not fragmented in any state. She doesn't require your attention. Okay? She just is. So be mindful of that. Be mindful of the deception of how people interpret these higher level entities, right? Because they just are. All right? Divine union can be attained without hierarchy. Divine oneness is the goal. We move as a unit in unity. We are not at war with ourselves. May everything we do in turn serve God. Okay? So I know it can be tempting, right? Because when you feel that kind of energy embodied in your vessel, right? You notice the shift in your reality. All right. And it gets very tempting. The ego, that lower level nature of you, is going to be tempted to want to establish dominance over others. Okay, this is not a male versus female thing. This is not a gender war. Okay, matter of fact, this Lilith energy can be embodied by those who have masculine genitalia. Okay, because they're energies. So where one is being enslaved by this stuff, Lilith energy can choose that vessel to work in, to upgrade them, to elevate them, to liberate them. Okay? So it's not just because you're a woman that you're immune to this entity of wanting to be dominant and controlling. You have to do the work in order to ascend past that level just as much as men do. Okay? As well as vice versa. All right? When you become in union with your counterparts, this is where this is going to be very beneficial for you. It's not a hierarchy. All right? We're not against each other. Okay? We are one. All right? The ego is very tricky. Great leaders are great followers. For leaders follow the true frequency of the mission. Okay? It's about resonance. Respect the biology of your expansion. We're heading toward a sustainable future because we had a sustainable past, right? It's only those who were in divergent from that lost the signal, all right? When you are aligned, you receive everything you can possibly want, right? That's the ending of this message.